What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chaotic Minds. As always, it is Winged,
And a midget?
and we are joined today with a guest. He is one of my online gamer buddies. We just sit around and talk sometimes at random. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself,
Hi, it's Undead.
let's go. All right. So, um, me and Undead met through Destiny 2. And then Midget and Undead met through me, I believe.
Yeah,
Because
like
you
that.
had to go to the bathroom and handed me a headset and said, talk.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
that's how it
thanks.
did. That's how it went.
And before I did that, everybody in the clan thought I was just making her up, like she never existed, which is funny in itself.
Hmm.
And then when I took over and was joking around with the guys, it's like they all had this shocked Pikachu face.
Well,
Shocked Pikachu? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I see it now.
yeah.
It took me a second.
Oh man. So we decided to go ahead and have Undead come on because we've been promising a guest, and he's the first person I talked to, and this is the first time we were able to get anybody.
Run away. Run
Oh,
away.
stop it! So congratulations, you are technically our first guest outside of our home.
Nice. Glad to be here.
So I did have a couple of things I did want to talk about, and I didn't discuss this with you because why would I?
Your dick.
So the first thing I do want to talk to you about, my friending, is what are your thoughts currently on how Destiny and Bungie is running things? Since like you're one of those ones that are like me, you played since D1, and now we're into what, year 6 of D2, or just overall?
I lost count
Yeah.
overall. Overall, it's been what? They came out in 2016 and 2023.
So
Yeah,
we're
it's been a minute.
it's like we're going on 7 years now.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
Well,
what are your thoughts
you
on
said
all
just
of this?
Well, you know me. I'm not exactly too picky with fun. Half the time when it comes down to it, I think how they're handling things at the moment, I think it's solid. It's a steady pace. Granted, there might be, I know there's 100% a lot of boredom within the community, which I can't blame. It's the same formula we've had since what was it? Beyond Night,
Yeah.
because it was Season of the Hunt. That started that whole seasonal formula. I mean, granted, the storytelling definitely improved majorly since then, but even then, I think the pacing of it's good. It could be a little bit better since we have what 2 months left of this season.
Something like that.
But I kind of wish it was a little bit more filled out that way, so it wasn't like, oh, cool, we got this major story point like Season of the Deep just dropped, and now we have 2 months to just do whatever. And at that point, it's either just grind for what we've been going after, just hanging out, just to hang out, or just playing just to play, so on and so forth.
Hunting ogres.
Well, getting crapped on by
Yeah.
surprising ogres, that's more
Exploding
like
off a
it, but
cliff. Or jumping off
or
a
jumping
cliff.
off a cliff. Yep.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
no,
but I mean,
I mean, I agree
that
with
that's
you on.
really it.
I agree with you on that. I mean, when it comes to like the seasonal story, I wish it was a little more flushed out, so that way it did go the entire season. Because having a finale like what we just had, we're in what, week 6 now,
Yeah, week 6, something like that.
and we still have like 4 more weeks. We still have a month for till the like till week 10 comes out, and we're getting the finale, and it's like, all right, makes no sense. But I mean, they did do it very similarly last season with Season of the Seraph.
Do you think they're
Like,
gonna like move up the drop of D3?
no,
No,
they're,
D3 is confirmed. That's not coming out.
yeah, they're right now. They're Bungie right now is working on Marathon. Um,
Gay.
they're not really focusing on D3. The whole rumors about D3 started and really became prevalent because people were upset with how the current engine for D2 is running. Um, so they were like, we might as well just move on to D3 and skip, the final shape. And so like that's why D3 got like so much push and so much news and so much whatever. I don't know though. I don't know if D3 is in a few in like the way that Destiny is right now. I don't know if Destiny 3 is like in the future for how things are right now.
As far as I'm concerned, until I hear any speculation change from the devs themselves, like even Luke Smith said in one of their trailer or their like buy docs, we don't want to put a number on the box until they end up taking back what they said and going ahead and planning for a Destiny 3. I don't think it's coming. I'm sticking with maybe if they're gonna do anything about this engine. If anything, I feel like they'll just slowly upgrade. Because I mean, it's not the best, but not the worst idea to do. I know some games have changed engines. Like for example, even Fortnite upgraded their engine, and it went from, granted, the art style makes it easier, but like it went from very noticeable of a change, like the
Yeah, and I think
lighting,
one of the
the
things
movement,
that
and
they need to
everything.
do is fix what's wrong with D2 before they move on. Because there are a lot
Yeah,
of people that are unhappy about how some of these strikes and raids and stuff are going, and they get kicked out and they can't rejoin. And just the constant server issues and server downtime. And I know other games are having that problem too, and they're trying to get things patched as quickly as possible. But why do it really quickly instead of taking your time and fixing it properly?
I think it goes back to the whole thing of what we said earlier. It's just more along the lines of their main focus right now is Marathon, and like the Destiny dev team, they're working with what they got. Aside from just the simple fact of, I don't know, it could just be like how it is going out in the rest of the world. Could be a whole slew of things affecting it, whether it be payroll or hours. I mean, I know for like where I work, I have that issue right now.
Yeah, I mean, for I don't know, like I think they may have done it with the Crisis games. I'm not 100% sure. I know they definitely did it with Kingdom Hearts, where like Kingdom Hearts 2, between Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3, they definitely upgraded the the engine that they were using to create the game. Um, when it comes to for Destiny though, switching it like upgrading it or changing it while the game is still like being worked on and all that, I don't know. That
Well,
that would take a
yeah,
lot more, and like the downtime for that would be stupid.
a lot. Yeah, no, I definitely agree, but I was kind of more alluding to the fact of, think of it like kind of referencing back towards Fortnite. So, granted, their seasonal finales are way more well, I'm not gonna say they're more involved, but they definitely are more live, if that
Flashy.
makes sense. Not even just flashy, but like when you're on, you've got a downtime to get into a lobby to witness the live event, and then once that event's over, that's the end of the season, and then you have a downtime while that's when the dev team moves in and they will implement everything that's new and take out everything that isn't staying. And that's how they did their engine upgrade, as far as I'm aware. And it looked seamless. I mean, granted, of course, it's not going to be like a smooth start every time,
Yeah.
but what they could do for Bungie for this next unknown season that's coming out, they could have such a crucial event, kind of like how they did with the Almighty Live event.
Yeah.
But make it to the point to where it's like Destiny will be down for a little bit, but not like they're just saying it like as if it were server maintenance. It's like, this happened, we can't get into the fight yet, something's going on, we gotta let the dust settle.
Well, like you said, like when actually better idea. You remember when the Traveler woke up?
And it healed itself? Yeah,
Yeah, like something like that.
that's true. Yeah, it's actually almost a perfect way.
But going back to like current server downtimes, how they've been doing it here recently. Um, because they recently tweeted out like they're changing up how they're doing downtimes, and this past week was the first week that, or first or second week that they did it, and it was actually really smooth. And I had like normally I have to, I'm having issues getting into the game, or I keep getting kicked, or something to that extent. These last 2 weeks have been really smooth. I mean, when they say downtime is done and everybody can log back in at like 11 p.m. Pacific time, they weren't lying. Like, I was able to get in, at 11 a.m. Pacific time, which would be noon here where I'm at, and I had very little lag, I had very little issues. So they are looking at how they can fix the overall like server maintenance time, and working on getting some stuff implemented in for that, which is good. It means they're actually listening, but at the same time, it's frustrating that it's taken this long, and so many big name people, or people who are like longtime players of the game, who are the Destiny OGs, are pretty much saying, no, I'm not playing this game anymore. It's broken. It's trash. It's dead game, whatever. And that's what's causing them to be like, oh wait, maybe we should change things up.
Yeah, that definitely is like a kind of wake up type moment. It's like you gotta see what's going on, and obviously the feedback that they get. Bungie's one of the only community or dev teams that I have played their games to the point where they listen better than other games. Like out there, for example, Ubisoft and For Honor. Oh my god, that's a nightmare. It is a nightmare. Literally,
Yep.
nobody plays that game just to like. It's a unique game, and that's probably the only reason why it is played. I love the game, but it's also a hate relationship with that
It's
game
getting long.
It's a
because
love-hate relationship.
it is. Granted, Destiny is too, but For Honor is kind of worse.
For Honor is
I
toxic
get
as
on.
hell.
For Honor,
I
it pisses me off.
Let's be real. But every game's got a toxic side. But I will agree that For Honor is slightly on the downside with that. But like I'm seeing so many. I saw so many comments before when they reworked one of the characters, the main character that I love to play, Lawbringer, about his rework, and then I'm seeing other people complaining about this isn't tuned good because it just feels like it's either half-assed or they just want to change it because they want to change it. Yeah, you they have overall rule over it, but like when it negatively impacts the player base and then they start to leave and they still don't do anything,
I mean,
I
look
don't
at other
know.
games that's happened with, where they've pretty much alienated the fan base. And
Warzone.
exactly. And now there's nobody playing it. It's like them shutting down the servers for Comrades for Final Fantasy 15. They did so much garbage with it. It was a good concept, but you were stuck doing the same shit over and over and over again. And people got upset because they couldn't upgrade anything anymore because everything was worth so little light or whatever the currency is to buy the new sections of the power plant. And they pretty much shut everything down.
I mean, well, when you go from like For Honor, you go from like this massive, everybody's excited, everybody's hyped for this new new style, like game where it's like they're taking bits and pieces of history and mashing them together and giving you this overall, like, I don't know, like gladiator style mindset type game. And you go ahead and you look at the player count now, and it is like so. I couldn't even give a percentage on how many people left. I mean, you and I play it every once in a while, but it for me it's frustrating because yeah, anybody can play a game any way that they want to, right? But when you're sitting there and you're playing these games and you're having this great like one-on-one with someone, and then all of a sudden you get smacked from behind and you're just dead. That's not something that appeals to a whole lot of people. And granted, historically, that's what happened. At the same time, it's like, yeah, but like some people, it happened at times within certain factions, Like you're Undead, you're a huge fan of, the knights and
Of course.
using the knights, the Lawbringer, the oh god, what's her name?
Which when you
The
talk about, there's a few that you can make as females, but like, are you talking about starting female characters or only female?
only female character. She's a knight. She has that polearm style weapon.
Wait, you talking about those? Because Warmonger, she uses this Y-hander. You got Peacekeeper, who's got the long dagger and the short dagger. You got
Apollyon.
Yeah, that's Warmonger.
Yeah. Like you'll use her every once in a while. I know that you hate using Peacekeeper.
Oh, without a doubt, Peacekeeper just sucks. She's the weakest link of that faction. Like, they just vault her. Ugh.
But like knights are known are remembered as chivalrous. So like you're used to like a one-on-one fight with them. Whereas like my faction the faction that I use most, I love using them, Vikings, just they are like a horde and they overwhelm and swarm, and granted, like I said, everybody's going to play a game differently. Like no one person plays the same, but there's got to be some sort of like something.
Give.
Well, personally, when it comes to that game, I feel like the moment that game went on a downhill slope was when they released Marching Fire. Granted, the new content was great. I do not like the Wulin just because I'm a Wulin hater in that game. They are the most showboaty and free characters to use, in my opinion. I would die on that hill. But I think it's because they could have took that time into making those characters. Granted, yes, it's cool that they added another faction in, and they have more, being the Outlanders and all that. But, like, I feel like this is just me saying that, but like it should just be the knights, the Vikings, the samurai, because that's what it was started upon. And on top of that, even if they continue with the whole other faction stuff, it's cool. But like, it feels like the older characters are forgotten to the point to where it's just we get a reskin. We only get shared executions. We only get minor adjustments to their play styles, to their overall move sets, to their HP, to everything that is what they do
Yeah.
and how they do it. When they bring out these new characters, they are like their move sets are unimaginably more complex, but at the same time not, if that makes sense. Like Afir is the most recent hero that came out, and I never played anybody like that. Shinobi's more along the lines of that kind of play style. But I played her no problem. I played the original Shinobi, and I was garbage. Steaming hot garbage. I could not. The only thing I loved to play that character for was the fact that I could just
that pile
scorpion
of
yoink.
shit.
Oh, yeah, literally. But, like, I would love playing that character whenever we were, like, in a group of friends just because we can gank somebody and we can yoink them like Scorpion and just see how long it takes until either they rage quit or they kill us.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it was
that's
fun.
the fun part.
Yeah.
Or leave
But
you
then
dead, like on dungeons, because I die like 50 times.
Well, to be fair, I lead you guys into a crusade that neither of you are like very much equipped for. I have literally have a build for that. I literally
the tower
just
is fun.
Towers was yeah, it's okay. I wish I had my build, but I mean, it is what it is.
That's true.
I mean, because that build is the only. Well, I don't want to say the only reason, but like a multitude of reasons of why we beat the missions I take you guys through. That build, I'm like a tank, but at the same time, aim a damage dealer.
Yeah.
Midget, you're the support. Every time you come in flying in, giving us a boost to either get in or get out or get a res. In Chaos, you're just throwing bombs everywhere.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
you were, not anymore.
Yep. I'm
But
the demolition man.
you were the absolute.
Bomb.
When we both had bombs and you had that fart explosion going everywhere.
I could play it right now, but I don't think I should.
But no, like that brings up, another thing is like when do you think it's okay to take some of the OG characters and either retire them, like just completely take them out of a game, retire them as in nobody really uses them, they're still there for the nostalgia, but there's not really been any updates or advances or nerfs for them, or just completely like I'm trying to think. There was an online game, and when the servers shut down, like there was like this wicked end of like server or like end of game event where it pretty much nuked the servers in the game itself, but then they took a bunch of characters, saved them via magic teleportation, and then when the servers came back online, because it was like restarting a new, whatever, that's when they brought everybody back. But they wiped out the old to usher in the new. Like, when do you think it's okay for like a game to do something like that?
Well, I believe no matter what, the game's got to have. Obviously, it's got to have a lot of time for that. But personally, I understand the whole wipe out the old, usher in the new. But I'm still a solid believer in like if we're gonna do anything about these older characters, yeah, we could do it all at the same time. But wouldn't it be also nice if we didn't have that whole nuke scenario and just had them? It doesn't have to be all of them right away, but it could be like a steady reintroduction to said characters. It could be like a rework, kind of like how Bungie just reworked a whole class of multiple classes of exotics, and now, granted, not all of them are like great.
Well, I
but
mean,
they're
think about it
far
too.
better when they
They're
were.
revamping Cade.
Well,
Sort
I
of.
wouldn't go into that yet. I would say that's a whole different mystery with that.
And we don't know
Witness
what
opened the domain to the Traveler or the whatever portal to start the final shape, but like
and we don't
we
know
don't know how that works.
we don't know if it's actually Cade, if it's just a fragment of Cade, if it's a memory that is just, whatever, or if it actually is Cade in his entire exuberant personality.
Well, I'll narrow down. I do not believe it is a memory, because based off of Season of the Haunted, I would believe if we're talking about like a memory, I feel like it would be how those nightmares turned memories would
Yeah,
be,
that
because they wouldn't be there at the end no matter what. It's like a whole sense of closure with how that whole season went. They fought their fears. After they turned their fears into memories, they could find closure, and thus those memories would disappear, but not forever. They would remain,
you could still
but as an
interact with
impact.
some of those memories, like Cade or Crow's memory of Uldren Sov. You could still react with him, and he was still talking as and answering real time questions. Like when it comes to like memory, I mean, like they take the voice and the shape and like some of the knowledge, but still, it's almost like having an AI program built and it learns off of
Over time.
over time, and like how they even build it to have it start to grow is they input everything from somebody. Like I think one of the Star Wars movies, one of the generals, what in a recent Star Wars movie, one of the generals was brought back, but his actor was dead. So they made like this stand-in, like they had somebody walking around and playing him and all that, but they like CGI'd over
Yeah.
him, kind of
Like
a
green
deep fake.
screen type.
Well, no, like a deep fake.
Yeah.
If it's something like that, but with Cade, because if where Ikora and Cade are sitting is actually inside of the Traveler, and ghosts are an extension of the Traveler, then the Traveler would be in sense like a huge like memory bank, like cloud storage or
Casket.
something, like a big server.
But here's the thing. Here's a question I pose to you both. Does bringing someone, let's use Kate as the example, but does bringing someone back in any aspect after they've died in a series, does it cheapen their death?
I would say it depends, because, like, for example,
Yeah, I would say
Cade.
the same thing.
For Cade, it was, he was shot, he lost his ghost. Granted, it was a dumb way to go, but it was also still a more fitting end for Cade. Not saying he's dumb, well, he is, but he's a badass type of dumb. But, when he was killed, his death, how long has it been since Forsaken? Like,
it's been a hot minute.
His death was a major impact, and no matter
His
where,
death pissed a lot of people off.
it was, and reasonably so. Not like, I personally don't think it was like a hate type way. The community wanted a more serious and darker tone story, and we got it. We lost the funniest character who kept the tone from being, oh, shake it, like it's
And that's the
real.
thing.
Forsaken came out in September of 2018.
Good Lord.
So
Jesus.
5 years.
Pre-pandemic.
He was dead 5 years, and now at the pivot, or like the most pivotal moment in the Light vs. Dark saga, we get a glimpse of him in a trailer for the reveal of said expansion. Potentially inside. I don't want to say inside the Traveler yet, because that gateway in front of the Traveler, we don't know where that goes. But all we know is it relates towards the Witness's goal of the final shape. And in the lore, from what Fife and some other lore masters have gathered, granted I'm paraphrasing and like kind of just summing it up and not in their total words. This is also my input, but it's all related around time. That gateway, that because they needed the most recent cutscene we got about the witness, they needed the veil, but the traveler did not want to be linked to the veil. It left. They got pissed and pursued it because they want to control the universe to the point where there's no chaos. And the veil is a key to opening up a portal, like how it did, and potentially I think that's all about time. So, granted, Cave looks different in said trailer. His eyes, his mouth glow, his gun, for example, it's different. We don't know how the implications of that are just yet. But like going back to the whole, how does that cheapen their death? His kind of feel it feels more earned.
Yeah,
if
like,
anything.
For me, it doesn't feel like Cade, like us seeing Cade at this pivotal moment, isn't it? For me, it doesn't feel like it cheapened out anything. Cade went out like a badass, set us on a path that we have been walking for 5 years now. You know, introduced the fact that light and dark go hand in hand, and that's what started for me, like my mindset of that shifting from, like, the good guys always win, there's always this, every decision that we make is wholly good, to now we're starting to get into that gray of the world where it's like, not we don't always make the right choices. We make the best choice that we can at the moment, but it's not always could be considered the correct choice.
Especially when it's all about they believe what they're doing is the best decision.
Yeah.
And see, that's the thing. That brings up what I posed to Winged a few months back, was what if the Traveler is actually the bad guy? Like, the Traveler came, does what he normally does, and takes off. Because he's shown them that light is the only way. And then now you've got somebody coming in saying, well, actually, what if the Traveler is the bad guy?
In that regard,
Well,
I don't think that the Traveler is like the bad guy. With this most recent, like these last couple of weeks of this season, for me, the Traveler feels more like the embodiment of chaos. And not like, oh, chaos is bad. No, like universal chaos. Anything happening to anyone for any time for any sort of reason. Like Murphy's Law, but toward everybody. What can go wrong will go wrong. What can go right will go right, kind of mentality. And the witness is trying to control that chaos to the point
and just
where,
completely remove it from
yeah,
the entire equation. Sorry.
like, if look at it this way. Think back to, like, what movie was that? Or no, there was a movie back in like the 80s.
No,
And
that's not my time.
yeah,
You barely were alive in the 80s.
I know about it though. But it's like, better idea. Think V for Vendetta. Okay. The witness is more along the lines of the president and the government being in this totalitarian control, right? You can't say this, you can't do that, you can't have this for food, you can't go this place, and whatever.
I'm gonna go to jail.
And then here comes V, this anarchistic chaos gremlin, to put it lightly, that wants everyone to be free and have their own, like, way of doing things. That's what this feels like. The Traveler is this chaotic being that wants everyone to have everything the way that they want it.
The Traveler's a chaos gremlin.
But
the witness wants everyone to be cookie cutter.
I think that they're going to end up taking the Traveler and possibly turning it into a tangible being. Like it's going to transform, like in the final shape,
Like
it's
into
going
a
to,
humanoid figure.
like a humanoid figure that you can actually, like, I don't want to say fight, but you can use to your advantage.
I
Oh,
feel like if we'd be going off that step, I feel like it'd be kind of more towards the lines of like Halo and how we got to meet the progenitor. Well, not the progenitors, but like the creator
the
of
Forerunners.
all these the forerunner, all these creators of these artifacts that were like important to the galaxy in case there were a universal threat. But with you know, but I don't feel like because there was a lore entry. This one's been stuck in my head for a while, but there was a in the raid Vow of the Disciple, there is a ghost shell that you can get for doing all these puzzle triumphs to get some lore. And in that ghost shell's lore tab, it's to sum it up, it's pretty much Rolk is trying to coerce this ghost into like exploiting its power. And the moment the traveler or the entity behind it catches notice, it immediately takes possession over the ghost, tells it flat out, this one is not yours, after they kind of exchange in dialogue, and destroys the ghost.
So Rolk was trying to use a ghost, kind of like how Savathun used a ghost.
I don't know if it's to that extent. I believe he was trying to exploit its power and kind of focus the upender. He's all about destroying everything that he believes should be. But like I think he was trying to use the power of that ghost in some sort of way to have it backfire upon us somehow. Because I mean, that's what he did to his entire planet.
Yeah.
Dude simply reversed a small portion of power, and it backfired and tore his planet in half. And that's the only reason, and he's the sole survivor of his race by his design. Well, by the Witness's design, but Rolk played and willingly played.
Yeah, and to counteract what you were talking about, Midget, if that was the case, then there would be some thing, even if it's like hidden among some of the most random lore pieces, that would give us a hint of that.
You
I
ever
mean,
think you're
we've had
missing lore pieces?
well, Undead pretty much has all the lore pieces. Like there is very little that Undead does not have, if anything. If I'm gonna be completely honest here, you because you pretty much have everything, don't you, Undead?
I wouldn't say everything, but what I do have lore book wise. I've got a good amount to know the gist, and if there's anything don't have, I mean, I watch Bife anyways because he's just really good at summing it up or
He's
like
the lore
tying certain
daddy.
things together. He's the Lord Dad. I'll
And
go
he
to
has a
him
voice like
if
butter.
I'm stuck. Yeah, but if I don't already know what he's talking about, I'll look into it, or like I'll look at certain pieces and kind of figure out what's going on myself. Because of course, who doesn't like to solve a mystery on their own, or like piece together how this is going to unfold? So, I mean, I got a good amount.
I mean, yeah, that's one thing, but like, what if they were to throw out some like secret lore that is pretty difficult to get a hold of? That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, they technically have done that. It's not exactly hard to main or get a hold of. For example, back in Shadowkeep, when they released the collector's edition, you got a little cryptolith, and there was a puzzle. The community all went towards solving. Well, all the people who were there was a whole bunch of people dedicated towards cracking this puzzle the cryptolith had. And once they figured it out, I'm pretty sure it was the lore entry about how the Hidden Swarm were trying to bring back Oryx. And it was talking about if they couldn't, that means they've surpassed his will and have survived his power, thus are stronger. But if they bring him back, it proves that Oryx is right, and no matter what, Oryx will slaughter them for committing heresy, and then he will continue his campaign or something along the lines of like that.
Okay,
'Cause-
another thing about Destiny, am I like smoking some major crack, or was there something where you had to go through this area and then you had to go, it was like you were jumping to different places through this little beamed portal thingy, like I can't figure out how to describe it. It's like
Like a jumping puzzle?
no, not a jumping puzzle. It's like you went to a location where this piece was, and you started this thing where you were in one area and you went through like gateways into another area, and then you had to figure out how to get to the different areas in that.
That sounds. It does sound like Corridors of Time.
Yes, the one with the little tower
it's
that had
all
the spinny
white
things at the top.
background.
It's all white background and
There's like fragmented pieces of whether it be debris, and then there's like Vex gates. You go into
Yes,
different
I
rooms.
thought I was imagining that whole time period.
No, that's
No.
Sundial.
That was that. Well, yeah, that's Sundial, but the Corridors of Time was definitely involved. But I mean, that was a live event, and that's how we figured out how to get what was it, Bastion?
Saint 14.
Well, no.
Bastion.
Corridors of Time. Saint 14 was for the story. Yeah, that was Sundial, but I'm talking about the Corridors of Time.
Yeah,
that
we got Bastion. We got Bastion through the Corridors of Time.
And not only that, we learned of our death, our true death, but that is to be determined whether it will be true or not.
Our character's death. Which does seem weird, but here's my question with that. How do we know for certain that that is our gravesite?
Oh, we don't. The only thing we know is that Saint's talking about this dead guardian as if he were one of his best friends, and that he gave him his favorite, or not his favorite, but like one of his most used guns, the Bastion. It could be us, but at the same time,
What if it's
when
Savalas?
that brings up a good point.
Because looking at it, hearing what you're saying, and then looking at like the trailer, for example, as well as a lot of the other like little bits and pieces dropped over this last bit, especially since Season of the Haunted, Zavala, it doesn't seem like Zavala makes it to the end, to the final shape. Why would Ikora be there? And especially if she's talking with Cade, because Ikora, Cade, and Zavala were all a fire team, and they all became the Vanguard and all that, and Cade was one of Zavala's best friends. Why wouldn't Zavala be a part of that conversation? I mean, other than, because his voice actor, But what if this was like the plan from the beginning?
Well, to cut you off about the whole thing about him not being in that trailer, granted, yeah, sad tragedy that Lance gone. It is an absolute gut puncher, but like, of course, with this, even in this season, one of the devs just confirmed that this last transmission between Sloan and Zavala was Lance's last recorded lines.
Yep. So,
aside from the fact that they can't do anything other than either have, whether they choose like the bad option in most people's eyes is have an AI generated voice for him, or mid option replace him, or possibly one of the better options is just leave him to the side and leave him as like text dialogue, which I mean sucks, but there's not a whole lot. You don't have a whole lot of good range of options, anyways. Lance Reddick fit that character perfectly.
Oh yeah.
It's not going to be easy to replace him. It's still not exactly easy to originally change the voice actors for Ikora. But, like, going back to her, and Witch Queen in this trailer, yeah, she's the only one in there. Final Shape excluding Cade for reasons we don't know or fully understand. I believe she's in there just for the simple fact that she's amongst the hidden, and they're some of the ones. Aside from like the hunter class, they're the elite scouts. They're the ones doing all the dirty work and getting all the intel we need.
Yeah.
So
But
I
also,
believe
you have to
the
think about
moment
it.
she
She
saw that
might
chance.
not be the only one. She might, when it gets further down the line, she might be the only one visible now. There might be others that come in later in the
That
conversation.
is true.
Yeah, that is true.
But at the same time, like, besides the Colonel and Amanda, Cade wasn't really close with a whole lot of other people. Yeah, he had, and I'm gonna call it as flirting. He had a little bit of flirty dialogue with Eris back in D1. You know, the whole "get your rock off my map,"
You gotta call that flirting?
which is, well, I mean, it's flirting for Cade. Like, Cade, for me, Cade is like, I love Cade mainly because I love Nathan Fillion, and he fit Cade so well in his dialogue. But
Hang on. Sorry, real quick. You can continue about this conversation, but my dogs are going crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry about this. I'll just be like 2 minutes.
no, you're good. But like, Cade fit, or Nathan Fillion fit Cade so well, and a lot of
Yes.
Cade's lines can be looked at as a little flirtatious. Yeah,
A lot raunchy, but a little flirtatious.
like his whole interaction with Petra at the beginning, like throughout the
Yeah.
entire Forsaken opening, movie cutscene, however you want to put it. That there was definitely some tension there. Well, like even beyond that, there have been occasions in cutscenes where, like, two characters are talking, and then the third one just comes in. Like, Osiris does it a lot. Saint has done it.
That's who I'd like to see more in the final shape is Osiris. I like Osiris.
Osiris is good. Like, don't get me wrong. I love Osiris too. The problem in the story-wise with Osiris, one, he's lightless now. Like, Sagira was his ghost, and
But he's not free of darkness.
he is not free. He does have the darkness power of Strand, and he studied stasis. Like, he studied all of the classes. He studied every single one. He uses Strand, or he teaches us how to use Strand. We've never actually seen him use Strand, however. And that's the kicker. Like, for me, Osiris is more along the lines of Mr. Miyagi.
He's gonna come in like, surprise, motherfucker.
But story-wise, Osiris being a part of the final shape, yeah, I think he's gonna be a part of it. But he's going to be more along the lines of I think he's gonna go against what Saint wants, and he's gonna be one of the first ones in through that portal. For one. For two, he is lightless. So he doesn't have all of the benefits that the Guardians do. Ikora still has her ghost. Zavala still has his ghost.
Yeah.
So, like, if something was to go wrong, they have their ghost to bring them back.
But here's the thing.
I'm gonna cut back in. Sorry, go ahead, Midget.
But here's the thing. Go back to the statements that you guys just made about that random ghost that you find.
Oh, no. So it's a ghost shell for your ghost, but it has a lore entry with it talking about a ghost that Rolk, who is a disciple of the witness, tried to convince, and then the traveler or whoever was in control of that ghost blew it up.
And see, here's the thing. But what my question would be is, what would happen with Osiris? Because the traveler's still there. Ish.
Yes and no. I mean, there's...
But if the traveler has just enough pull and just enough power, because he's the one that gives you the abilities of the light, what's to say he doesn't give him a new ghost? And give him his light abilities back.
That is a
but
fair
at
point.
the same time, I don't think that's because like when it comes to humanity, I mean, for at least bringing up the Hive, I mean, they use ghosts for whatever they want them to. For us, it feels we were chosen. I mean, it's still kind of applies. So that's kind of a hard subject to go about. But
I honestly think that if something like what you're describing, Midget, happened, I think Osiris would say no. Like, if there was a ghost that came up to him and was like, hey, I want to be your ghost, he would say no. Because it would cheapen Sagira's sacrifice. And what happened.
Not only that, it gives him closure around that event, and also it builds his character development. So that way, it also adds stakes.
Yeah.
If he goes, it hits us hard. And it has an impact, like how Cade's death was, or like how Oryx showed up and took out or made such an impression on the system that he's forever a reminder. Like, they're a constant reminder. Dreadnought is still there.
Yeah,
that ring, never going away.
The Dreadnought is still in Saturn's rings.
I still think we're the ones that killed the guy who killed
Aldrin?
Cade.
Oh, we are.
We probably don't. Well, yeah. Definitely are.
I'm saying that we are.
Going back to that,
see it.
Well, yeah, because they want to make it seem like, was it Petra or was it us? But I mean, we literally went. He goes, "Do you know which side you're on?" And we literally stop for a moment, aim our gun, and nod, and he closes his eye. We were the one who pulled the trigger.
Yeah, I mean, like the reason why they did it is that way. Like, if the player would feel like, oh, I forgive him, then Petra killed him, versus, but that was like a small minority, versus the majority of Destiny community. No, we shot that bitch.
Revenge is a dish best served ice fucking cold.
I'm just saying, no, I put 2 in his face, 1 in each eye socket. But no, like. Osiris is definitely going to be a part of it, but the other reason why he won't be, like, I don't think he'll be a major part of it, kind of like how Ikora is because story-wise, Osiris was banished.
Either that or I think he's going to die early.
I could see that. That I could see. Because that would put a lot of new stakes on things. So... Not
to mention piss you off to the point of, revenge again.
Well, yes and no. I would be
I feel like that'd be more Ikora.
And Saint.
Well, of course, Saint, but yeah, like, as us, the player, I don't believe nearly as effective. Yeah, we'll be upset. We might be a little angry. But nothing hit us hard or harder than watching Cade die. I feel like the most impactful deaths we could have as a community are probably just the Vanguard and everybody that's within that inner circle. Of course, Osiris, Saint, and them are there too, but like they're in the background more than anything else.
Yeah,
we've been alongside.
Yeah, and I get that.
But far more than
on
anybody
the
else.
other thing,
and Amanda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that I could see is if something happens to Osiris, Saint's gonna lose his shit.
Oh yeah, I mean it happened at the end of, or like when Witch Queen came out. Like everything when we found out that Osiris's body was inside, like Savathun had taken was in control of Osiris's body and all that, and we were
I
trying.
He
called
was
that
in
shit at the
shock.
beginning, by the way.
Yeah, he was in shock, and then he got pissed, which is why he reacted the way that he did in this last cutscene.
Oh, he'll straight
Um,
embrace the darkness.
Oh no,
Not
no,
to mention, no, he won't embrace the darkness.
No.
But like even in the beginning of this season, when Zero Rat just pretty much stabbed him in the back with what she was saying and then twisted the blade because she just enjoyed it, he was livid.
Oh yeah,
He went up. He straight up said, "Fight me."
yeah, he did.
That's the fuck around and find out of Destiny 2.
No, I think the fuck around and find out of Destiny 2, and I'm gonna say this, Ikora. Ikora Ray is the fuck around and find out, but she's the quiet one because
She's gonna bring the destruction of the universe.
when Osiris was banished, she was upset, but then she had to control herself because she was put into a position of leadership. However, when Cade died, she was about ready to wage war herself, and if it wasn't for Zavala being like, nah, bitch, we need you in the tower, she would have gone off and
She got grounded like a teenager.
she did. But she would have. It caused a lot of strife between her and Zavala until Zavala was able to get through her anger and tell her this is the reason why. But
It's almost like he had a feeling.
oh no, he knew. Don't get me wrong.
And that's the
Zavala
thing.
was pissed too, and Zavala wanted to go ahead and show them what they found out.
No, it's like he had a feeling that she was going to be needed as the leader.
No, she was. But Zavala was ready to go to war too, but he knew that he had the tower and he had to take care of the citizens and everybody, the civvies, and the
He
last
can't
city.
make it personal.
Ikora was like, "Nah, bitch, I don't care. They can be they're fine
Fend for
right
yourselves, motherfuckers!
now." Yeah, she was about ready to go off, and if it wasn't for our character and Zavala, then she would have.
Can you imagine if Osiris, Saint both die? Ikora's going to lose her shit.
Oh, Ikora's not going to be the only one, because Zavala is... Now, did Saint help train Zavala? I can't remember.
No, it was Saladin. Saint by that time, Zavala. I mean, I don't know the full time length between that, but like, Saladin was Zavala's mentor, and this was around the early Darker Ages. At that point, Saint could have because I don't remember. Was the city had its walls in the Dark Ages, correct? I can't remember.
I know during the Dark Ages, I know that the warlords were still going around, and it was just at the beginning of the Lightbringers, or whatever they were called at that point, that they started to band together, because Zavala was training with Saladin inside the Iron Temple, left those walls, and was in a village with his wife and Hakim. And then when Hakim died and Zavala and his wife separated, she went to go wander, and he went back into the Iron Temple, and was only like, I think maybe 2 generations after that, 2 or 3, I can't remember which one, that Zavala found one of her descendants in the city. So it was right around that time period. But Saint was looked at by the speaker as, this is my kid, this is my son. So they didn't have a speaker back during the Dark Ages when Zavala was being trained by Saladin. So it was after the last city was made and they elected the speaker that Saint 14 became a part of it.
Well, we don't exactly know when Saint came into it, but I mean, obviously he was definitely there around the Dark Ages. I remember you remember the Destiny 2 reveal trailer. I believe that it. Well, I'm not gonna say believe. I'm confident that that is the Dark Ages because in that camp sequence or the scene that we saw when Zavala was coming in, the speaker was the one at the center of the campfire, just kind of preaching or whatever. Because after he passes Shax, that's when he sees him. But like, we don't know a whole lot about when Saint was.
Well,
Well, at least I don't. But like,
the Fallen, I mean, the Elixni have stories of Saint ripping through their camps.
yeah, but that's all we got because they invaded us. He gets vengeful. He goes on and makes these crusades and slaughters everyone.
Yeah. So,
but like,
I mean,
aside from that, the last thing we know is something's going on Mercury. He tells the speaker that, and they have a little confrontation about going or whatever. I can't remember all of it, but like Saint goes. That's when he goes to Mercury, goes into the Infinite Forest, and eventually perishes.
Yeah. I don't. It's just. I wish that they would release something that kind of like the history in like a book form or something along those lines.
All that
Like
lore in a single book that you could buy.
Well, I have the original Destiny starter book. I mean, it gives us basic lore off each faction, each sect, or like a legion of said faction. It gives us weapon basics. It gives us characters that we know as allies, or like certain VIPs. Not VIPs as in like Oryx and all that. That's all hidden stuff. Because this was like base D1. So it just had enemy description. It had enemy legion / faction description. It has their equipment. It has their ranks. It has, I believe, I'd have to pull the book out again, but I believe it's got like maybe one HVT or like high ranking person or persons, like group of persons in said like faction. But other than that, everything that we would get our lore off of back in D1 was in the Grimoire, which is what I kind of miss because that's the reason why I remember so many bosses.
Yeah.
Destiny 2, yeah, we get these bosses that show up. It's either they show up multiple times like Kelgarath or like Tanix. That's how we remember them. Or certain ones that show up that we know about based off previous lore entries or like have been built up to.
Yeah, them just telling us like, hey, this is going to be the person that you fight.
Yeah, like, or it's a specific dude that we've been focusing on an entire expansion per season, like the High Celebrant. Other than there are certain characters or like pool-based designed enemies that have such roles, but they're forgettable.
Yeah.
Because they only show up either once, they aren't built up enough, or they're just filler.
Yep.
Like, think about it for Nokris. We know a lot about Nokris, but that's only because he's been built up ever since D1, slowly. But then he was only ever shown up twice, and his impact is still technically here because ever since he made that deal with Savathun, I will join you or whatever in exchange. You teach me or I teach you necromancy. He does that. He teaches Savathun necromancy.
I think it was I'll join you, or you give me protection.
Oh, knowledge.
And
no,
knowledge.
It was knowledge.
You give
it was
me
knowledge
this,
for knowledge.
And I will teach you about necromancy.
Yeah, no, it was knowledge for knowledge, and knowledge in service for knowledge.
Yeah.
He wanted to know certain things, and she wanted to know certain things, which was necromancy. And in Ghost of the Deep, we figured out they know how to do it.
Yep. But I think, my friend, we're going to call it here. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me.
It's always fun.
You know, you, thank you for being our first outside guest. And who knows? Maybe we'll have you come back at another, another episode.
Oh, I'd be down to.
But for us, thank y'all for listening. We really do appreciate it. If you are listening to us on Spotify, go ahead and download it. It helps us out and shows Spotify that, hey, we like what these guys are talking about. If you feel like donating, there's a link in the description, so go ahead and click on that if you want to. Otherwise, as
Don't be
always,
a dick.
Don't be a dick. Don't forget to love each other, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.